Hey, Giants fans, what's going on? It's Danny. Just wanted to say what's up, do a quick recap of Hard Knocks episode 4. There was some technical difficulties tonight. I'm on my backup StreamYard, so I figured I'd do a quick recap of episode 4. Basically, it was a fun episode. We all know that it was draft night, so it was nice to see the reaction of Malik Neighbors, and it was also cool to see all their hard work on the front office coming to fruition. And it was cool to actually see two offers. One was from the Colts and the other one was from the Jets, and Joe Schoen obviously denied both of them. I'm okay with that because now we know that Malik Neighbors was ultimately going to be our guy and our pick. So I have no problem with that at all. So it was really cool to see Malik because, usually with the Giants, they usually have the post-draft visual, and it's just like the videos of everything like we normally see. But obviously, they hid that from us this year, knowing that they were going to be on Hard Knocks. So it was good to see that this year. As well of him being excited coming to New York, and he's in obviously New Jersey. So a lot of people are obviously excited about that. So it was really cool to see that aspect of things. I know it's very awkward. It's really awkward to hear the general manager and the coaching staff making those calls, and it's like, yeah, you ready to play? Yeah, of course I'm ready to play. This is like my greatest moment in my life. So that was pretty cool to see. I have to give a quick shout out to Spartan Mike, who was at draft night, and Hard Knocks found him. Hard cam right there, and he had a couple of seconds on air, so that was pretty cool to see. As well for the other draft picks, it was really cool to see how they were going through meetings, which we all assumed they would be doing throughout the day. It was really cool to see how they wanted Canister from Georgia and Kool-Aid McKinstry if they were going to fall to us, because the obviously with the Brian Burns trade, we lose our first second round pick. So it was really interesting to see how they had the board ready set up. They were going to obviously go safety, and they were obviously going to go corner. So which direction were they going to go? That would have been interesting to see. So as you saw with the board, it wasn't going into their Giants' favor. The Giants quickly pivoted to Tyler Nubin, who's been a stud at the University of Minnesota. So it was really cool to see. It was an automatic plug and play type of draft pick. So that's 2 for 2 right there. Obviously, round 3, it was a little bit hairy, but in their pre-draft meetings, they were like, Drew Phillips was going to be the guy if the scenario fell into the 3rd round. And obviously, Andrew was there. He was the last considerable guy. I don't know why I did the balloons. I guess don't do that. But all things considered, it's pretty cool to see how they have everything build it up. So they feel that Phillips is going to be a plug and play starter at corner at the nickel spot. So it's going to be interesting to see. We're starting to see that come into place a little bit. Tyler Nubin has been out of camp for a little bit, so he's really been the only one so far of the first 3 draft picks that really hasn't been on the field. I'm pretty sure when you're watching this at Tuesday's practice, he made a nice pass breakup on Neighbors. We'll get into that a little bit later. But so far, the Giants have hit 3 for 3 on all their needs of the draft pick. All right, so the biggest focal point of tonight's episode was the Theo Johnson's draft pick, because last week they spread some breadcrumbs about it and how they were at his pro day and everything else like that, and they really did like him. So before day 3's start of day 3, they were talking and they were like, all right, Theo Johnson's on the board. We're going to go get him. I don't recall who Joe Schoen was talking on the phone with, but whoever coached them up at during the Senior Bowl week called him a dog, and he's awesome to see. So you could tell he was their guy already. We know he's an athletic freak. It's going to be interesting. He had a nice catch, apparently, his first day back from PUP. It's going to be interesting to see how he can continue to grow and handle his rookie year, especially at being a tight end and battling for that number one tight end spot with Bellinger. So it's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, from everything everybody says, he has a bigger upside in the receiving game, and he could hold his own with the blocking. So it's really going to be interesting to see is how is he going to be able to compete with Bellinger, who's going into his third year. Obviously, year one was a pretty decent year. Unfortunately, he got hurt in the middle of that season. And then last year, his growth pretty much got stunted because Waller came in as the number one wide receiver. So it's really going to be interesting to see. Sorry, need a little drink. It was really interesting to see really what was going on with that. And I'm excited to see what happens in the training camp and the games starting next week with the Lions, and obviously with the joint practice with the Lions. So ultimately, that was the most key player that we obviously didn't really know about because we didn't really see the inside look of everybody else other than Neighbors. So that was pretty cool. And then the later picks, they showed Joe Shane's wife and Brian Daboll's wife, and it was pretty funny how the other wife was more of the other person's personality. So Joe Shane's wife is more the outgoing, crazy, anger, he's let's go, and where Brian Daboll's wife is more reserved. So opposites obviously attract. So it's really funny to see. I guess they could play that work husband, work wife role pretty well, as everybody likes to joke about. So with that being said, I am really it looked really cool to see all the Giants front office get together. Whenever you finish a big project or something like that, you always want to hang out with your team and just be team first, So it was really cool to see. I got to find where that restaurant was. I got someplace in New Jersey. I would definitely try it. Why not? Screw it, right? So, but it was really cool how Mrs. Shane and Mrs. Daboll got the room ready to go and just got the party started, and looked like everybody was able to unwind and relax and just thank God another draft season is over. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's really fun. The other thing at the end of the show, and I liked how they tied a bow on that, because at the start of episode 1, they talk about the scouts and everything else with that. So it was really cool to see how Joe has the end of draft meetings with all his scouts and what he liked, what he didn't like with each scout. And it seemed like they showed all the people that he liked. Hannah was a superstar this Hard Knock season, and a few other people. But it was really cool to see how, like I mentioned week 1 of the episode, these scouts are basically the offensive line of the front office, because you don't know about them, you don't hear about them, and the only time you do hear about them is when when you draft the player that unfortunately doesn't pan out. And obviously you can't hit on every player, so you're going to have a better law of average of percentage of hits more than misses, obviously. But it really is cool to see them being in a positive light, per se, because like I just mentioned, you don't want to know them, kind of thing. And these guys and Hannah grind their butts off all football season, and then once their season starts in the off season, draft with free agency and player draft prospects and everything else like that, it's all systems go. This is a 12-month year job, and they're not around their families a lot. They're flying all over the country, and it's a thing. Well, it's a fun job, I'm sure. They have moments, but obviously a thankless job. So I definitely want to thank the Giant scouting staff. It seems like they're starting to get their shit together, hopefully. Especially today, Aaron Robinson is cut. So the last member of Dave Gettleland's draft class is Azeez Ojulari, who is a free agent coming into the season. And he's obviously not starting at the moment. So it's going to be interesting to see how he comes off the bench I think it's going to be personally better for him because he's been hurt so much the last couple of years that he's going to be able to just focus on pass rush, and he could be our secret weapon. So yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be our secret weapon. Is it going to be Tracy from Purdue, who was a very popular pick? He's very explosive. So hey, it's time to step up, boys. This year's draft class, and I'm excited to see them go to work. It seems like this draft class has been proving themselves, other than Tyler Nubin at the moment. But it is what it is. So that was pretty fun. And then the last was playing New York Groove and just basically in a remix. I never heard that remix, so it was pretty cool. Of Joe Shea, and then they droned it out and you saw the city skyline. So I thought that was pretty cool. Be sure to check us out on TNL_NYG. Before I forget, the Giants did sign a guard today, Van Vraten, who's been in the league for the last couple of years. He's a vet who's been around, like I just mentioned. He's been with the Raiders. He started all 17 games last year. He was been with the Jets, and he's been with other teams. So he's going to be another Carmen Bursillo type guy who had him with the Raiders last year. And of course, he started all the games. He's a middle of the road guy. I'm not going to go jumping up and down with joy, but honestly, it is okay to get some sort of depth. And if he was to find his way to be starting, I'm not going to be hating that. And him and Illuminar have chemistry from last year. Bobby Skinner from Talking Giants showed that one clip on Twitter today of them double team blocking Dexter Lawrence to get a successful play call. So obviously, as you all know, the offensive line is all about chemistry. It seems like those two guys have chemistry. It's going to be really interesting to see. You have Andrew Thomas, you have Runyon. Hopefully JMS stays healthy, and then hopefully Van Vraten and Illuminar are our starting offensive line, and then we'll figure out what happens with Evan Neal. I know a lot of people gave up on him. I don't blame them for that. That's their right. But when you have a top 7 draft pick, it's hard to give up on. But honestly, with the NFL and being a win now league, and the wide receivers, and they trust their running backs, can Daniel Jones get the protection that he's needed? And can he make the throws that we expect him to make, even though there's little expectations for him to do so? After coming out of Tuesday's practice, it was apparently brutal. The defense clearly won. So with that being said, stay tuned. Please watch last night's episode with me and Nikki. We're going to have a lot more fun stuff as the season rolls out. With the preseason coming around next week, we're going to have a lot of fun ideas to do some stuff. As always, New York TNL_NYG. I'm Danny. I'll see you until next time. Peace.